Hello, my name is Lauren Bregetzer, an Ableton certified trainer and an associate professor at the University of Colorado Denver. I'm just going to break down the software that I'm using to create the live streaming environment that I have in my previous video that shows my live streaming teaching setup. I'm going to break down the software, both the video and the audio that I'm using. But first, I'd like to give a shout out to all the Ableton certified trainers because together they put together and did a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to routing the audio, especially because that's very tricky with the new operating system on Mac computers. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is break down the video. That's probably the easiest of the two versus the audio, which gets a little bit tricky. For the video, I'm using OBS Studio, and I'm using two add-ons for OBS Studio that make this possible. The first one is an add-on that allows me to stream this as a virtual camera, and the other one is a motion add-on that allows the transitions between scenes to zoom instead of a crossfade, so it makes for a more professional and fluid environment. So I'm here and I'm zooming down or to different places on the screen. I can do that very easily with that motion add-on. So that's a motion effect for the transitions here. Um, so what I have going on in OBS Studio here is I have all these different scenes that I've made. For the most part, they're very simple. They just consist of a webcam and the main desktop, and all I've done is reposition those how I want them. My main one has a few extra features that I can launch. So I'm transitioning between these scenes using this Elgato Stream Deck. Um, there's software versions you can use for iPads and phones and stuff like that. But this allows me to have a tactile interface so I can just press a button and feel it. So I can kind of try to keep my eye on the camera as much as possible. So I can just hit a button and zoom down. So most of these go to different scenes, although for fun, I have a fire in case I happen to create pure fire. A John Travolta in case I have to ask anybody has questions or anything like that. Um, and so those are down here in this main scene. So this main scene just has that fire and the John Travolta ones. The rest of them just have my webcam and my main desktop. I have this audio input capture muted, which is just default built in. I just never bothered to get rid of it. So other than that, it's just those two. So if I want to take one um, and create it with those devices, I'm just going to right click on it, click duplicate, and I'll name it Ableton Z for Zoom. Call it Tech Demo. Hit OK. And so what I can then do is go in and for this Tech Demo scene, which is highlighted, I can then reposition my webcam. I can just put my face in the center, and however I want to do my desktop, I can just zoom it out, zoom it in, and scroll around to different areas. So suppose I wanted to just have myself floating above the MIDI track here. I can do that in this scene, just kind of blow it up this way and move my head here. Oh, grab it, webcam, move my head up here. And so now in this tech demo scene, I can switch away and then I can go back to this tech demo and it saves it where it is. So I can zoom around in different settings. So that one's just one I just added just for that demonstration. And I can go in and take that scene and I can add it into my Elgato Stream Deck. If you've ever used it before, it's pretty straightforward. I'm just going to give you a quick demonstration. So I take this, this is what it looks like on my computer here. And all you need to do is just drag a scene. So with the Stream Deck open, I have this blank slot here. I can just select scene and drag it in there. And then from there, I can just assign it to my collection. This is the collection inside of OBS Studio. And then I'm going to go to scene, Ableton Z Tech Demo. And so now that button shows it. So I can just title it Tech Demo. And it shows up on the button that way. So I can visually see it. Now when I go back into OBS, and I quit out of the Stream Deck or hide it, I can select that whenever I press that button, it'll jump to that scene. So I hit the Tech Demo button, and it selects that tech demo scene. So the Elgato Stream Deck allows me to jump around very tactily. I can turn off the fire, turn off the Travolta, and just zoom around. So it's actually very easy. Now, the only other thing that I have going on inside OBS Studio is that I have this the virtual camera add-on. Before I start it, I go and under Tools, I go to Start Virtual Camera, and when I do that, it shows up as an input to Zoom or anything that accepts a video camera input. So that way, whatever is basically typically used to just stream video camera stuff, I can stream a whole 1080p desktop on there. So to route the audio, it was actually a little bit more tricky to set up. As far as audio software that I'm using two programs from Rogue Amoeba software. I'm using their LoopBack and Audio Hijack software. Both of those programs running at the same time. And the third one I have installed is Existential Audio's Black Hole, which creates another virtual device. And the reason I have that is because the way LoopBack works is it steals the audio, or Audio Hijack steals the audio, Loopback routes the audio, and Ableton Live does not like to have is going to require an audio output device. So I go inside Ableton output device and I select Black Hole Audio. That audio is not specifically going anywhere, but it needs to have an audio device set up to play audio. So I just have a dummy audio, which is what Black Hole Audio is there for. So it's actually not really doing anything except just being a selected audio output in Ableton Live. The reason being is if I have it set to the same audio interface I'm using, they don't like having multiple devices going to the same audio interface. So it's just easier to do that. So with the Loopback audio, which is the first one I have to configure, let me find it here. Loopback audio. So I have a couple of different things going on. I have two virtual devices set up. The main one I have is this Loopback for Zoom input. And so I have the audio selected from Audio Live to go in there. And I also have this pass-through chain, which I'll get to here in a second, which carries my microphone. So I have my microphone input going into channels 1 and 2 of this virtual device, and the output of Ableton Live being sent to that virtual device. So my audio and microphone from Ableton Live and my microphone are going to the same output. Reason I do it this way is because no matter what I do inside Ableton Live, I open up different live sets. Old live set, I can make a new live set. I don't have to configure anything inside of Ableton Live. It just works when I have Loopback opened up like that. I have Safari added in case I want to play back a video or something off of the web through the audio for the lesson. So the next device I have is headphones. So it's basically the same kind of thing, except I have those going into my audio interface. So I have the output of Ableton Live going to my audio interface and the output of Safari going to the audio interface. So this is the only one going to the audio interface, which is basically my headphones. That way I don't have my microphone going in there. So it's the same thing as going through the stream to Zoom or wherever, except I don't have my microphone going through there because there's a little bit of latency that goes on. And if you hear yourself in the headphones with a little bit of latency, it'll make you crazy. So I just have those two set up, one for the audio from Ableton Live and one for the audio from Ableton Live and my microphone. So the next one I'm using is Audio Hijack. Let me get to that. Okay. So I have these two different Audio Hijack settings. Let me grab this one. I have basically, this is the main one that I have. This is my voice and compressor setting. So my microphone is going into my Focusrite Scarlett audio interface, and Audio Hijack allows you to add plugins, adds meters and stuff like that. So I take the audio from the microphone input and the preamp gain there from this SM7B. And I have it going through a few plugins, which you can do. I have a RX denoise to clean up the audio, a meter, an EQ on there. So I can, oh, that one's big. So I have a EQ on there and I have a compressor on there. And then I also just have another meter so I can just compare levels of pre-EQ and compression and post-EQ and compression. And other than that gets sent to the Loopback for Zoom input. So it comes from my microphone all the way through this processing chain, and then it goes into this pass-through. So this is what that microphone is this pass-through. You can see when I'm talking, the meters on the microphone are going. So that gets sent to the output, which goes into Zoom. And the last one that I have set up here for audio is I use the Listento audio plugin, and that allows me to stream over the web a high quality audio stream. So I can go in here. Uh, I basically have the everything that's coming out of uh, this loopback for Zoom. So my microphone and the Ableton Live audio is being sent through here from this device into a meter, so I can just make sure it's looking good. A volume in case I need to mute the audio for some reason. Um, and then this it goes straight to this Listen to plugin, which allows me to send audio via high quality stream over the internet. So you have to rely on Zoom's audio. So that's what I have set up for routing the audio, which is trickier. So I have multiple plugins and programs open up at once. So you want to have a system that has a good deal of RAM as well as a decent processor. But with just a single MacBook Pro, I'm able to do all of this without any problems. So that's my live streaming setup for both video and audio. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message. I'll do my best to see if I can answer those for you.